Today, in the media conference with Lal Goel, which is brought to you by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, Organ Donation India Foundation and Gyan. Our endeavor is to enlighten you about the current topics. And today, our topic is a very, very important topic, that is corporate social responsibility, or CSR. But before I will go to the topic, I would like to inform you that today the world is celebrating World Science Day for Peace and Development. World Science Day for Peace and Development is an international day that highlights the important role that science has in society and is celebrated each year on November 10th. It also highlights the need to engage the wider public in debates on emerging scientific issues. World Science Day was proclaimed by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization UNESCO in 2001 and celebrated for the first time in 2002. By linking science more closely with society, World Science Day aims to ensure that citizens are kept informed of development in science. It also underscores the role scientists play in broadening our understanding of the planet we call home and in making our societies more sustainable. The objectives of the World Science Day for Peace and Development are to strengthen public awareness on the role of science for peaceful and sustainable societies, promote national and international solidarity for shared science between countries, renew national and international commitment for the use of science for the benefit of societies, draw attention to the challenges faced by science and raising support for the scientific endeavor. We extend our greetings and hope that science will also play a very important role for peace and development in this COVID pandemic time. Now, coming to our topic, that is corporate social responsibility, that is CSR. The emphasis placed by more and more companies on corporate social responsibility symbolize the recognition that prosperity is best achieved in an inclusive society, said Tony Blair. Business needs to go beyond the interest of their companies to the communities they serve, said Ratan Tata. Corporate social responsibility, CSR, is a type of international private business self-regulation that aims to contribute to social goals of a philanthropic, activist, or charitable nature by engaging in or supporting volunteering or ethically oriented practices. While once it was possible to describe CSR as an internal organizational policy or a corporate ethic strategy, that time has passed as various international laws have been developed and various organizations have used their authority to push it beyond individual or even industry-wide initiative. While it has been considered a form of corporate self-regulation for some time, over the last decade or so, it has moved considerably from voluntary decisions at the level of individual organization to mandatory schemes at regional, national, and international levels. Considered at the organizational level, CSR is generally understood as a strategic initiative that contributes to a brand's reputation. As such, social responsibility initiatives must coherently align with and be integrated into a business model to be successful. With some models, a firm's implementation of CSR goes beyond compliance with regulatory requirements and engages in actions that appears to further some social good beyond the interests of the firm that which is required by law. On April 1st, 2014, India became the first country to largely mandate corporate social responsibility. The new rules in Section 135 of India's Companies Act make it mandatory for companies of a certain turnover and profitability to spend 2% of their average net profit for the past 3 years on CSR. The law, which stipulates that CSR activities should be undertaken only in project program mode, provides detailed guidelines regarding what kind of activities are eligible across several categories. This includes hunger and poverty, education, health, gender equality and women empowerment, skills training, environment, social enterprise projects, and promotion of rural and national sports. Many large corporations are handling CSR through their foundations, while mid-sized companies are setting up internal teams to supervise projects carried out by implementing partners. Regardless, many companies have grabbed at this easiest solution for their required spend, investing in the government's priorities, such as building toilets as part of PM's Honorable Mr. Narendra Modi's Clean India Mission Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, adopting local villages, or pumping money into the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund and now in PM Cares Fund. The total corporate social responsibility CSR spending by the top 500 companies in the country since the applicability of mandatory CSR in 2014 has crossed rupees 50,000 crores, said a report. The CSR compliance is also improved and fall in the range of 97 to 98% in financial year 2019-20. According to a report, the government in 2014 made mandatory for companies to spend 2% of their 3-year average annual net profit on CSR activities in each financial year, starting from financial year 2015. The norms are applicable in firms with at least rupees 5 crore net profit, or rupees 1,000 crore turnover, or rupees 500 crore net worth. The center has notified that contributions to the PM Cares Fund will be considered as part of corporate social responsibility CSR of companies. In Schedule 7, Item 8, after the words PM, Prime Minister's National Relief Fund, the words or Prime Minister's Citizen Assistance and Relief in Emergency Situations Fund, PM Cares Fund, shall be inserted. So today, we have an elite panel with us who are dealing either directly or indirectly with the CSR funds, or who have already dealt with CSR funds, or who is the beneficiary of CSR fund. We would like to invite our first guest. He is Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, IAS. Dr. Bose is one-man expert commission on labor to prepare an action plan for the welfare and development of the workforce in the context of COVID-19. He was former head of the Disaster Management Government of India and Central Draft Relief Commissioner Government of India. He is also the principal advisor Government of India Heritage Project. He is the chairman of Indian Red Cross Kerala. He was the vice chancellor of National Museum, University of Delhi. He has authored 40 books in English, Malayalam, and Hindi, including novels, short stories, and essays. 4 of his books have become bestsellers. 4 books on Vastu and architecture and 1 book on housing received prestigious the Sharjah International Book Fair Award. Dr. Bose is an housing expert, innovator, writer, orator, and visionary. The path-breaking institutions set up by him, such as Nimriti Kendra Building Center, District Tourism Council, and Habitat Alliance, have been replicated at the state, national, and global level. He was the head of the prestigious Supreme Court Committee on the Treasures of Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple. Dr. Bose addressed United Nations General Assembly and specialized sessions 5 times on various international issues. Dr. Bose is a recipient of 31 national and international awards, including United Nations Global Best Practice Award. He also received prestigious Jawaharlal Nehru Fellowship. Kerala government termed him Lord of Ideas. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh ji called him inspired civil servant, and our Honorable Prime Minister Mr. Modi called him man of ideas. Now today, I would like to inform you that Dr. Bose has to go for an urgent meeting, but he was kind enough to talk to me in the morning, and he has recorded what he wants to say for the CSR. So I will be playing his recording. Please hear what are his views as far as the CSR is concerned. And I'm starting and playing the recording of him. Dr. Bose, please.
Social responsibility, CSR, is a part of law in India. India is the first country in the world to give it legal status. It is now statutorily mandatory for companies to utilize 2% of their net profit for what is social responsibility? There was this priest in Puri, Jagannath temple. He was a stickler for cleanliness. On the way to the temple, he saw a donkey lying dead on the road. The priest telephoned the municipal commissioner, a young IAS officer. The priest told him, a donkey is dead on the road. Please arrange to remove it. The arrogant IAS officer told the priest, burial of the dead is a duty of the priest. With a sense of humor, the priest told the IAS officer, yes, you're right. Burial of the dead is a duty of the priest. I will certainly arrange to bury the dead donkey. But before that, I thought I should inform its nearest relatives. That is why I called you. Ratan Tata seems to have heard this story, for he said, a company should have in its DNA a sense to work for the welfare of the community. Social responsibility is an extension of individual sense of responsibility. Active participation in CSR project is important for a company. This is Ratan Tata. In India today, CSR funds which flow to the society is in the range of rupees 10,000 to 20,000 crores per year. Some companies utilize it directly, like the Adanis, headed by our expert panelist Pabitro Roy Chaudhary, whose commitment and dedication is well known. The Pabitro model has become a very successful case study in the utilization of CSR. We will hear straight from the horse's mouth. Many companies route their CSR funds through the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations. But the fact remains that though there are 3.3 million NGOs in the country, only 1/3 are functional. The rest are paper organizations, and some of them are fake. That is why, in many cases, CSR funds are used to distribute patronage to the dear and near ones. Some of the companies take to the easy route. They transfer CSR funds to one project or the other of the government. A favorite repository of CSR funds these days, the Swachh Bharat mission. There is a dearth of data on the CSR activities in the country. CSR is part and parcel of the culture and ethos of India. Giving alms to others is considered a sacred act. King Harishchandra gave away all that he had. Karna donated even his protective armor to Indra. In Islam, zakat is a sacred duty. In the Bible, we read about the widow's mite. There was a time when the Christians used to donate all their worldly possession to the church. In the St. Peter's Basilica, Vatican, there is an altar called the Liar's Altar. The Liar's Altar. How came such an incongruous name within a sacred place like the church? Ananias, a devotee, a devout Christian, said that he had gifted all his wealth to the church. But in fact, he had kept a portion of it with him. Because he told a lie, he instantly dies. His wife Safira told a similar lie later. She also fell dead. This scene is painted at the back of the chapel. That is why it is called the Liar's Altar in St. Peter's Basilica. If the truth about CSR funds is taken on oath, we have to build many Liar's altars. The Tatas and Birlas had demonstrated social responsibility even before the concept was known to others. Tatas have set up institutions of excellence in the country long time back. The Birla Foundation did excellent work in many areas, including education. Chance would have it, I had the opportunity to be associated with both these institutions or industrial houses in my official capacity as an IAS officer. As Shakespeare says, thereby hangs a tale. You know, the forerunner of India's nuclear research is the famed Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, or TIFR. The Tata Memorial Center, which runs the largest and perhaps the best cancer hospital in the country, is also the creation of the Tatas. The National Biological Research Center, Bangalore, is an offshoot of the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. In my official capacity, I happen to be the government representative in charge of these three institutions. At one stage, the Tatas transferred these institutions to the government of India. The Ministry of Atomic Energy, directly under the Prime Minister of India, was placed in charge of the Tata institutions. I happened to be in the Department of Atomic Energy for more than 3 years, maybe around 4. That is how I came across these institutions. They are very well. And there is the pursuit of excellence in all these institutions. Now to the Birlas. The Birla Institute of Technology and Science, BITS Pilani, happens to be my alma mater in a way, because my PhD is from BITS Pilani. Then I was inducted as their adjunct faculty, and I had the opportunity to be the director of their off-campus center for habitat management. These are institutions which came out of the corporate social responsibility of the industrial houses, which prove the long-term results of corporate social responsibility. Some corporates create foundations through which they administer the CSR funds. Down south, I have a pretty long association as principal advisor to TAFE, the TAFE and the TVS group in the south. These organizations also have kept funds under the corporate social responsibility, which they manage very professionally as an in-house matter. So there are institutions which show varying degrees of success in the administration of CSR funds. Certainly, India is a role model for many other countries in this respect.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Bose, for giving such a nice opening remarks about the corporate social responsibility and about CSR. And you have very clearly defined how the CSR is come for the first time in the world as a legislation by the government of India. And you also mentioned about the roles of the big corporate groups, and especially you have mentioned about the Tatas and Birlas and Adanis. So thank you very much, Dr. Bose. We understand that you have to go for a meeting. The work is definitely one has to go for that. But you are kind enough to record and send your about your views about the CSR. Thank you very much, Dr. Bose, for this. Now I would like to move to my next guest, and our next guest is Mr. Mr. Pabitra Narayan Roy Chaudhary, IAS. Mr. Pabitra Narayan Chaudhary, IAS, is the Executive Director of Adani Foundation. He is former Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Gujarat. He has done Master of Business Administration, Finance and Strategy in 1998 for William E. Simon Graduate School of Business Administration, Rochester, New York. There he achieved Beta Gamma Sigma Award and Citibank Award for academic achievements. He did Master of Science Finance in 1993 from Strathclyde University, Glasgow, Scotland, UK. He stood first in the graduating class and got British Council scholarship. He did Master of Applied Mathematics in 1975 from Calcutta University. He stood first in the graduating class. He was awarded with 1 gold medal and 7 silver medals. He also did course in public-private partnership at IP3 in Washington, D.C. He was awarded and honored by President of India's Silver Medal for meritorious service in India's census operations. Silver Medal for superior management of healthcare program in Surat district. Terry Award for innovative use of natural resources. Award for optimally conserved water body at Nal Sarovar. Outstanding Young Person Award 1984 from JC's. His contribution to relief operation in 2001 earthquake, recognized by an award for excellence in management of major international disaster from American Rescue Team International. He wrote 2 books for IAS, IPS Civil Services examination. He authored 5 books, namely Conceptual Approach to CSATs, Paper 2, Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude, A Concise Analysis of Ethics, Integrity and Aptitude, Good Governance, Mastering Effective Reading Skills. He has done Master of Business Administration, Finance and no, this I have already read it. So welcome, Mr. Roy Chaudhary on our show. Mr. Roy Chaudhary, you have heard what Dr. Bose has mentioned. Although he is not physically present, but he has given the complete details about what he think and about the CSR. Now, you being the President, Executive Director of the Adani Foundation, which is involved in a very big way about the CSR activities. Definitely, we would like to know your views about the corporate social responsibility or CSR. Mr. Roy Chaudhary, please. Please unmute. Please unmute. Yes, please.
Good morning. Both of you actually dealt with the topic, two aspects of the topic. You gave a general framework of the India's achievement in CSR, which is indeed unique, and we have all reasons to be proud about it. And Anand Bose talked about the great heritage in CSR of old business houses and their philanthropic approach to CSR. I would like to take you through the present landscape of CSR because I am a daily practitioner. I earn my bread, so to say, doing the CSR, and therefore it is very interesting. And it is not just, when in 2015, the first year of CSR legally mandated CSR started in India. At that time, the amount spent in CSR was of the order of 6,500 crores. I will use some ballpark numbers because it is difficult to memorize exact figures. So it was about 6,500. In, and whereas the mandate said 2% of average net profit for the last 3 years, the result achieved was 1.57%. That is a precise number. 4 years down the lane, and we have reached to almost 12,000 crores, 11,961 to be precise, and this percentage has gone up to 1.99. It is one aspect which should be taken note of. Then the law also mandated that each of these such companies should have a CSR committee of the board, and you will be delighted to know that out of in the NSE universe, there are 1786 companies to the best of my knowledge, and out of that, 885, 885, it exceeds 50%, have constituted this committee. And not only that, 60%, 61% of the committees have CEO as board member. In our own Adani group, for which I represent the CSR arm, along with our chairperson, Dr. Preeti Adani. So we have the CEOs in the CSR and Sustainability Committee, Karan Bhai Adani, and another very distinguished professional who is a strategist in CSR, Sardana ji. So we have gone a long way. That is what I want to say. In compliance of the law. Of course, it is not perfect. It is certainly not perfect. Still there are many companies who, though mandated, have not been able to spend. One should reflect what is their exact difficulty. Government of India or the state government, they should discuss with them what really where the shoe pinches and try to solve their problem. Now, what is it that we are achieving? The audience is very right to ask, what is it that you are achieving, and is there any impact, so to say? Our social science professors always often very rightly emphasize that whatever CSR we are doing, it should be scalable and replicable. So it can be taken on a larger canvas, larger scope, so that much larger set of people benefit from the innovations that the companies do. I think there is very good progress. And sometimes these are micro stories, and therefore they do not always get the limelight. Let me first deal with some of our eminent other companies, and of course when I touch Adani's, I will also mention briefly what we are doing unique thing. You very rightly said that yes, Swachh Bharat Abhijan was very unique. and it was very appropriate, and I may add humbly that it remains appropriate even today, even today. Now ODF. Now there are, I mean, I have seen, I have been a district official, and I go to these places of theater of action, so to say, and I know many times ODF is only a paper ODF. It is a certificate given by local panchayat recommendation. But there, there is one company which has ensured that they directly supervise, they have designed low cost model of toilets. They have ensured that the bridge finance is given, because government subsidy comes with a time lag, and because of this time lag, the individual household having started construction of toilet stops midway because he is waiting for the fund to come. So this company, very well known company, very respectable company, has fund the bridge funded, so that they have been able to get a very large number of villages, almost 12,000, and how villages, all ODF. We have our own program of Satyagraha. We took a different path, in the sense that we encourage schools, colleges to, so that their students become champion of cleanliness. So they do many things in the school, many activities in the school. They are called Swachhagrahis, and they have a product teacher. So this engagement all over the school goes on. So they do multiple activities. They honor the cleaners. They do painting. They go outside school in the marketplace and try to energize people to do cleaner market. So our own Swachhagraha, which we managed for 5 years, has created very substantial impact all over India. Then you think of this Rajasthan. Let us go to Pali district of Rajasthan. Pali is a very well-known district, and it has a block called Bali, similar sounding name. So Bali is mostly inhabited, is a very is spirited by Jain presence and Marwadi presence. It is a very nice little town. But you go 40 kilometers off Bali to Aravali Hills, there the economically challenged in families are umpteen. The whole area is underdeveloped. One very well-known corporate, they did micro training in business management to the lady, for the ladies, so that they could do better agriculture, they could do water conservation, they could also start petty business, small shops, and then they could get in the toehold into good livelihood. Now this is a good example. In for Adanis in Jharkhand, Godda, where we operate, where we are developing a power plant, we train almost 2,000 women gradually in the stitching and tailoring skill. And these are all NSDC recognized skill. So our skill arm, that is Adani Skill Development Company, they train gradually 40 batches. Then these women were trained for business, and they started very good scale stitching enterprise. And the district collector was so enthused by this that she gave order for stitching all the uniforms of the district, running into lakhs, for the school children to this institution. It is a thriving institution, just like a factory. Now they are also doing sweaters. Now this livelihood generation changes the very environment in the factory. you will appreciate that when the woman also earns, her voice in the household gets strong, more emphasized. And this, this influences children's education, nutrition, maternal health, multiple ways. So, creating livelihood for women is a very, very powerful medium of women empowerment. Then, of course, we have multiple examples. There is one program by the name, famous program by the name of Arise, which is trying to improve primary schooling in certain areas. We have our own program. It is called Utthan. Very interestingly, we often we have the brainstorming session where even Gautam Bhai is present. So in brainstorming sessions, we are like we know we have official orientation. We used to say, oh, this is even after so many years of Gunotsav in Gujarat, Narendra Modi ji had started a Gunotsav program where I have participated for 7 years. Even after Gunotsav, there were umpteen problems in the primary schooling. Principal problem, the lack of interest on the part of parents about day to day teaching learning material and actual offtake of learning. This is the one principal problem. Second principal problem in Gujarat, no English till the fifth standard. So we changed that. So our chairman Gautam Bhai said that okay, you have a good analysis. Now these are the gaps. Why don't we fill in these gaps? And thus came the Utthan program of Adani Foundation. Initially started in Mundra, now we have taken to Hazira, we have taken all over, wherever we are present. Very interesting. Similarly, you would not believe what can happen if a dedicated corporate, one of those corporates which my dear friend C.V. Anand, Dr. Bose mentioned, in that famous group, one company has taken Seraikela district in Jharkhand on the border of Odisha. Seraikela had a high maternal mortality and infant mortality. So they introduced an institution called Sahiyas, and that institution encouraged women to get contact with practitioners. Instead of home delivery, they went for institutional delivery, and over the years, vast improvement was there. We have a similar program which emphasizes another aspect, which is malnutrition amongst children. In India, the problem is huge. Anemia is even a bigger problem. More than 50% of women are anemic. So in many pockets, it means this is a national picture, near about 50%, but in some pockets, the percentage would be higher. 25% ballpark, you can say different levels of malnutrition amongst children. There are different measures, stunting, underweight, etc., etc. So that is a little technical. I am not dealing with that. We did a program where we created an institution of Sangini, and Sangini institution is addressing at the family level, at the community level, how to breastfeed, start breastfeeding immediately after childbirth, how 6 month exclusive breastfeeding, what to feed thereafter for 1000 days. So here is a very intimate institution, intimate to people. Government has done all that it needed to do, ASHA worker, ANM, Anganwadi worker, but that intimacy with the family was missing, which we have provided. Government had excellent institution, probably not less known. MMTC, NRC, which is a nutrition center where uh, families can bring malnourished children. So they will be first given, if any medical treatment necessary, medical treatment, and then nutrition. 15 days or 30 days if needed. Excellent institution, but you know what happens? I had gone and seen very, very enthusiastic NRC managing doctors. They told me, sir, nobody comes. Nobody comes. We encouraged people that please take children to NRC. We will support you. We will support you by transport. We will support you by lump sum payment. Government also these days give lump sum payment. But when we started, we were pioneer in giving some kind of a lump sum help so that mother can stay in the same place. So our Suposhan is making a complete transformation wherever we are doing the program. So to sum up, the picture one day in one many times we say glass is half full or three-quarter full and all that. But I can say there are very bright patches emerging, and that is a ray of hope. Today you were discussing the Delhi weather, lot of pollution. I think technology exists which can convert agriculture residue into compressed biogas. But enthusiastic people have to go into it, and initially there may not be profit, initially there may be difficulties, but over time they can make a transformation. That is all I had to say. I think there is a bright side, and all others who are not able to perform at this time, I think they have to be assisted and aided by NGOs, by government, so that they can also join the mainstream. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roy Chaudhary, for giving your views. And Mr. Roy Chaudhary has given the details how uh, generally the corporates are supporting or involved in CSR, and particularly the Adani Group. And he has given the details about his own experiences in different areas. He even mentioned that how they have started the Sachagrah. I think it is in the line of Satyagrah. The name is put at the Satyagrah. And
Correct.
so that is a very
Correct.
good initiative to motivate and see to it that everything should be clean. Because nowadays, when the COVID-19 is there, the pandemic, we require cleanness. And we must give a salute to Adani Group for starting this type of project. And it definitely it will be impactful for the society. Then he also mentioned how they empowered the women, and they have given the necessary training, skill trainings to stitch the clothes. And once they started stitching, definitely, and with their approach and with their quality, the district collector gave the order for the entire uniforms of the schools. That gave the real empowerment to the women. And once a woman is getting money in her hand, which she earned with dignity, definitely one can imagine the change in the entire household. And once the household is changed, it will be changed the entire village or entire state or the country. So he has given the details about many of their works which they are doing. And he even told me off the record before that they are doing in a very big way the research in this biogas and all other things, which will be they are implementing soon. I am sure if the corporate sectors will take such type of lead, like Dr. Bose has mentioned about Tata's, Birlas, and Adani's, if these big houses and other big houses will come in, then definitely the day is not far when we will say that India can also be a leader in even in the CSR, which after all we have collected more than 50,000 crores in 5 years, is not a small amount,
Yeah.
and which is really utilized on the ground. It's not that it is just gone in a pocket of anyone. It has been utilized in a proper way, because the private organizations, they have utilized it, they have implemented their these types of CSR projects. Thank you very much, Mr. Roy Chaudhary. You have explained in
Thank you.
such a way that I need not to summarize it. You have given all the details. Now I would like to invite my next guest, and he is Mr. Sandeep Rajput. Mr. Sandeep Rajput is the founder of All India Citizens Alliance for Progress and Development, AICAPD, and Innovation Mobile Schools. Mr. Rajput's mission is to break the chain of hereditary laborers and educate society's underprivileged children, particularly the sons and daughters of migrant workers in various parts of the country. He believed that once these children are educated, they get vocation and are better prepared for life's challenges. His innovative education model is recognized by IIT Madras, IIT Roorkee, and many other social and government organizations. Welcome, Mr. Sandeep Rajput, on our show. Mr. Rajput, you have heard what Dr. Bose has mentioned, what Mr. Roy Chaudhary has mentioned. Both are IAS officers. They have the practical knowledge, experience, which they have done. And as Dr. Bose has mentioned, that he was associated with Tata's group as well as Birla's group for their philanthropic work or the CSR work, although at that time the CSR was not there. And Mr. Roy Chaudhary, who is now heading as the executive director of Adani Foundation, who is implementing the CSR day to day, every day is on the helm of the affairs. You being the beneficiary of the CSR, you have first experienced what is CSR and how, with the help of CSR, you have created a organization which is doing very, very good, remarkable work. Because whatsoever I heard and whatsoever I saw and researched, I found you are a role model for many of the NGOs. So we would like to know, as Dr. Bose has mentioned somewhere about from the horse's mouth. So we would also like to know from the horse's mouth your experience about the corporate social responsibility or CSR. Mr. Sandeep Rajput, please.
Thank you, sir, for introduction and inviting me to be one of the panelists. And I think everything is covered by Dr. Anand Bose sir and Mr. Chaudhary sir, who is heading this one of the biggest corporate, Adani Foundation. And so, you know, his hands-on experience of CSR, corporate social responsibility, and you have also given detailed presentation, on CSR, how CSR, NGOs and these corporate organizations, public sector organizations are working on this. So it is a really great topic to discuss today, and I am so grateful to you to give this opportunity. Actually, today, most of the private organizations, they have their own foundations, like Adani Foundation, Reliance Foundation, and Tata's Foundation. And now this public sector undertakings like ONGC, REC, and other corporates, other big PSUs, they have also created their own foundations like ONGC Foundation, REC Foundation. So they are working, to implement their schemes of CSR so that its benefits reaches to the desired sections of the society. What I have done is, I was also working in private sector and on some, for some time on a government project also. Then I was working in Gurgaon. So what I felt, there is a need to work on education, especially education of migrant children. There is a government schools everywhere and private schools, but there is a huge section of these migrant children who come with their parents every day, like Mumbai, Delhi, Gurgaon. as an estimate, there are 500 families. They are arriving every day for work, and according to a UNESCO report, 80% of the migrant children in Indian cities, they end up with their work and engage in exploitation and for other abuses, etc. So finally, they don't get education. So, like according to a survey, there are 6 million children still they are not attending any school. And as per Right to Education Act 2009, now there is a duty of state governments that every child has to go to school. But if you go to the metro cities and you just go to near any construction site, you just see if any project is taking 5 years in completion, like big projects of construction. So you may see there are 200, 300, these migrant laborers, they are staying in jhuggis, in temporary hutments for a long period with their children. They come with their families. And our organization, we had done a survey in Gurgaon in 10 kilometers area. Then we found there are 1,000 children between the age group of 6 to 14 years. They are not going to any school because their parents are going for work and they are just playing or just wandering from here and there in Juggi. And the elders, daughter or son, they are taking care of their siblings. So one day I went to near a construction site and I saw there are 50 to 60 children. They were just, engaged in unproductive work or they were just playing there. So I asked them, why are you going to school? They said, no, sir, we are not going to any school. क्योंकि यहाँ पर कोई स्कूल नहीं है. जहाँ पर एक कंस्ट्रक्शन साइट होती है वहाँ पे 2-3-4 किलोमीटर में कोई स्कूल नहीं था. तो मैं व्हाट आई टोल्ड आस्क देम, इफ स्कूल कम्स टू योर होम टू द झुग्गी, देन विल यू गो टू स्कूल? यस सर, व्हाई नॉट? So then idea came and next day I went with 2-3 volunteers and I just started teaching them in a झुग्गी. और तो देखा मैंने कि बच्चों में बहुत इंटरेस्ट था और वो सब पढ़ना चाहते थे. उनके मैंने पेरेंट्स से बात की और पेरेंट्स ने कहा कि सर अगर आप हमारे बच्चों को, हम लोग तो अनपढ़ हैं, और अगर आप हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ा देते हैं तो आप हमारे भगवान होंगे. तो हम लोगों ने पढ़ाना शुरू किया. पहले 10 बच्चे आए, फिर बढ़ते बढ़ते 50 हुए, 100 हुए. तो मुझे लगा कि अब इनको और भी अपना एरिया मुझे बढ़ाना है. Then I founded this organization, All India Citizens Alliance for Progress and Development, and under this first project we started Innovation Mobile School. So the concept was to like this, come to their home, to their joggi and teach them like a school. But we didn't have the school infrastructure like computer and board, like whiteboard and all. Then I contacted few public sector undertakings like REC, and they visited our centers, our jhuggis. Like we had 6 construction sites, projects in Gurgaon, and they appreciated it. And then they sponsored a bus, what we wanted. So we converted that bus into a classroom. अब उस बस में ब्लैक बोर्ड है, कंप्यूटर है, प्रोजेक्टर है, एवरीथिंग जो स्कूल में होना चाहिए. और उसको देयर आर टाइमिंग्स, डिफरेंट टाइमिंग्स फ्रॉम दिस साइड टू दैट साइड, कि 2 से 3 घंटे हम एक साइड पर रहते हैं और उन बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं. Then we are covering around 500 migrant children who were not attending any school. Now our objective is to bring them to the mainstream in streaming through this skill development. So like Chaudhary sir said that he also worked in primary education and stitching and all for women empowerment. So like that area, I also trying to take these children to the mainstreaming through skill development, and many children are doing very good. And now the few children who want to go to the army, air force, so we are also inviting the retired persons to just train them so that they can get employed. And like many NGOs are working, but even the big organizations, they are also searching for good people, good NGOs. Many NGOs, they need actually, like public sector undertakings, they need papers, they need documentation. Like if your NGO has 12A ATG certificate, has that NGO completed 3 years? Has that NGO has audit reports for 3 years? तो खाली बहुत से लोग होते हैं, they think okay now I am retired, let us make an NGO. तो इसमें that is also a good idea. Or my advice is to come, the young people from IITs, IIMs, and civil services, they also should come for this sector. क्योंकि अभी थोड़ा ये होता है, अच्छा कुछ काम नहीं है तो एनजीओ बनाते हैं, कुछ काम करते हैं. इसमें भी एक सिस्टमैटिक अप्रोच होनी चाहिए एंड पेपर्स होने चाहिए. पीपल डोंट नो हाउ टू फार्म ए ट्रस्ट. व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन ट्रस्ट, ए सोसाइटी और सेक्शन 8 कंपनीज? बिकॉज इफ यू वांट टू गेट फंड्स फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट, your papers should be completed. Like you must have 12A ATG certificate, you must have audit reports, you must file audit reports every year with the income tax authorities, and transparency in utilization of funds. So as like many areas, like this year the government's theme is health and nutrition. 60% of funds is allocated for aspirational districts. Now remaining 40% of funds, like 20 or 30%, they give directly to the district authorities, like district collectors, because giving to government organizations, government community like district collectors and all, they organizations, public sector feels okay, their funds, their money is safe and it will be utilized. So the remaining now with the government, like you can say like 10% are giving to the NGOs who are working, on ground work. They are doing good work. So मेरी यही सलाह है कि जो लोग इस क्षेत्र में आते हैं और अगर वो अच्छा काम करते हैं, तो चाहे अदानी है, कोई भी बड़ा ग्रुप है, गवर्नमेंट है, वो आपको फंड देंगे. बस आपका काम अच्छा होना चाहिए. Thank you so much, sir, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rajput. And Mr. Rajput is a role model because what he has started, he has thought about the migrants' children. We all were knowing about migrants during the COVID-19. We were all sympathizing for them, and we have seen the plight of those migrants. But what Mr. Rajput has seen, the pre-COVID era also, how their children who are there and nobody is taking care, because he has mentioned that 500 families are moving every day to the big cities. And just imagine those 500 families, even if having an average one child, almost 500 children are going uneducated, not attending any schools, because no one is going to take them if they are coming in mid-session, and it's very difficult to get them admitted either in a government school or a private school, because their migrants are also not sure for how many months or years they have to stay there. And at that time, he decided to take the school to their doorsteps. Really hats off to you, Mr. Rajput, for thinking about this type of noble cause. And definitely, I'm sure that by your work, many of the NGOs or many philanthropists will definitely come forward. Either they will start their such type of thing, or they would like to help the NGOs generously, so that real help will reach to the grassroots people or those who are really in need. Thank you very much, Mr. Rajput. You have given a very, very eye-opening narration of your life, and this will definitely be a very much beneficial for the public at large. Now, I would like to go for the next segment, and where I asked Dr. Bose a question. My question was to Dr. Bose is, Dr. Bose, you might have come across some inspiring success stories of CSR. Can you please elaborate? And the answer which Dr. Bose has given, which I am going to play for you, is this.
There are fake NGOs in the country. In fact, at one stage, Kapat had blacklisted some of these NGOs. And this process goes on under various governments. But we should realize there are inspiring success stories of NGO efforts in utilizing corporate social responsibility funds. One such instance is that of Mr. Sandeep Rajput himself, who is one of the panelists here. I happen to be chairman of the Central Warehousing Corporation and the Central Railside Warehousing Company, both Government of India public sector undertakings. Mr. Sandeep Rajput came up with the idea of educating the children of the migrant labor. And that turned out to be an innovative project. And from the Railside Warehousing Company, his organization was given a mobile school, that is, a van fitted with television screens and other audio-visual aids, including computers, and of course, with teachers. This mobile school will go from place to place and teach the children of migrant labor. A similar school was sanctioned down south to the Isha Vishwa Prajnana Trust, which is having consultative status under the United Nations. This trust runs the school in the slums of Thiruvananthapuram, the capital city of Kerala. They also take the children for regular schooling in their own school. Now I see Mr. Sandeep Rajput on the national television and the national newspapers as an outstanding pioneer in the field of mobile schooling among the children of the migrant labor. Story is now considered as one of the best practices in this field. As the one-man expert commission on labor, I have included the Sandeep Rajput experiment as a very successful manner in which the children of the migrant labor can be imparted education. Why should there be corporate social responsibility at all? Well, that is a moot question which should make us think. I take two examples of really successful businessmen, billionaires. One is Rockefeller from the United States, and the other is Mr. Krupp from Germany. Both were great businessmen. They minted money and built up industrial houses, much to the jealousy and chagrin of their rivals. there is more to it than meets the eye. Once Rockefeller's son told his father, "You are minting money. What for? People don't like you." This made Rockefeller think, and the Rockefeller Foundation was set up in this background. Now, if the business legend Rockefeller is remembered, it is not on account of the billions that he made in business, but because of the great things he has been able to achieve through the Rockefeller Foundation. Now to the industrialist group of Germany. He was a wizard. During the war, he found an opportunity in making money by selling death. His ware was arms and ammunition. He was later on arrested for being privy to the Nazis under Hitler. He was jailed, but the authorities later on realized we can cage the businessman group, but we should not cage his business acumen, his genius. So they decided to release Krupp from the prison on one condition. He can get into business and industry, but should not manufacture arms and ammunition. Krupp took the opportunity by the horn. He became very successful in the field of steel. The German wizard made tons of money. For his birthday, many heads of states and VVIPs landed in Germany. With all pomp and fanfare, the occasion was celebrated. But there was one person who was significant by her absence. That was Krupp's wife. He forgot the familial responsibility. The worship of Mammon, what Washington Irving calls the almighty dollar, is not enough. Even if you win the whole world, what does it matter if you lose your soul? Well, in the case of Krupp, that is what we see. Therefore, the concept of corporate social responsibility stems from certain basic human principles. It is said, life is nothing but froth and bubble. Life is nothing but froth and bubble. Two things stand like stone. And what are these two things? Kindness in another's woes and courage in your own. It is this worldview which is reflected in the concept of corporate social responsibility. In the Bible, Jesus says, "Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God what is God's." I would see corporate social responsibility as an extension of this thought. In India, we believe Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. We also want business and life as a whole to be based on the principles Satyam Vada, Dharma see great philosophical significance behind the concept of corporate social responsibility. There is this episode from the life of a famous botanist. He was traveling the jungles of Africa with his research students. He saw a beautiful flower in the forest. Enamored of its charm, the botanist comes forward to pluck it. To his surprise, he finds that the petals of the flowers fly in various directions. Adding dismay to disbelief, he found that it was not the beautiful petals of the beautiful flowers which flew off in various directions. It was a set of ugly insects. These ugly insects again fly back and converge on another point, and a beautiful flower is again born. Whatever may be the explanation, scientific explanation for this, when first ugliness converges to a common point, from ugliness, beauty is born. This transformation, this metamorphosis from ugliness to beauty, from the negative to the positive. This is what is implicit in the concept of corporate social responsibility. When all the ugliness that we see around us in the field of business and any profit-making pursuit, when it converges to a noble point of social responsibility, from ugliness, beauty is born. From the negative, the positive is born. It is this alchemy which the concept of CSR is able to achieve if it is approached properly. Thank you.
From negativity to positive born, according to Dr. Bose, and he has given so detailed answer of my question. Now I would like to go to Mr. Roy Chaudhary. Mr. Roy Chaudhary, you have explained how Adani Group is doing and under the Adani Foundation. But Mr. Roy Chaudhary is still miles to go. Like we will see the case of vaccine nowadays. Is any big corporates or your Adani Foundation or any other foundations are also active under the CSR fund for seeing that the vaccine research which they are doing can be funded, or once the vaccines come or will be released, it can be given free of charge to everyone without any caste, creed, richness or poorness. Is there any such type of plan under CSR in your foundation or any other foundation which you know? Mr. Roy Chaudhary, please. Please unmute. Please unmute.
Your question is of very contemporary relevance, and the question is apt, very apt. Now, it will depend on the path that these problems take. There are two issues. One issue is that finding the vaccine itself, that is to say research, and then delivery of that vaccine to large populations. So this is two separate issues. Now, so far as the vaccine, finding the vaccine or discovery of vaccine, in the globally there are very well-known businesses, very well-known, who are active, and also universities who are active in this, and it is their regular bread, so to say. They don't have to be told how to do it. They know it. They know it. They know the genome mapping of the particular virus, and they are approaching the issue, and they will find the solution. It is not very far, and you will find at least half a dozen solutions. Half a dozen. Okay, there will be some mRNA vaccine, there will be some tRNA vaccine. Now the second, so this is an autonomous process, as I say, that if a business has exceptional competence in doing things, it is best that they do it. Because why the business is the will be very successful? Because they have a strong motivation to do it. This vaccine will open path for further research, further understanding of vaccine machine making, and also there is a business proposition. Governments will not buy it free. Nobody is going to give it free. So it is a business proposition for the industry, and they will successfully deliver it. Yes, they should charge reasonably. So these may not require a CSR kind of intervention. CSR intervention is most needed, and I say this with utmost humility, where there are two situations where there is nobody who takes care. In Gujarati, we say dhani bagarna. You know, Gujarati has a very practical way of saying there is no guardian of a thing. So that the CSR is often like, Sandeep's work. And I know one very good Bengali family. They were also not very wealthy, but they were doing exactly same thing which Sandeep is doing in Vadodara. I have gone to see their work also. But they were not so methodical to create an institution and develop it as in, approaching corporates and all that. So here is a field where there is no parenthood, in short, migrant children's education. And there is no parenthood. So here CSR is needed. And second situation is there where in the government delivery system, public delivery system, let us not say government because it is a public delivery system, where there are gaps. They are sincere, but still the delivery is not there. School is there, but school is not able to produce literates. School is not able to deliver reading, writing, arithmetic skills. So that is a gap. So there CSR comes because government is already exhausted all its arrows. Whatever government had to do, रामबान रामबान तो उन्होंने छोड़ ही दिया. They have done in Gujarat, they have done school, they have brought teacher, they have brought computer, they have digitized the syllabus, they have done everything what is needed to be done. Still it is not delivering in to full satisfaction. I am not saying it is not delivering. I am saying it is delivering very largely, but not. There are pockets where the delivery is very weak. So here comes the role of CSR. Now let us take the vaccine. Of course, I am no knowledgeable person in vaccine, so my ignorance may be excused because I have no, I do not know ABCD of vaccine making or vaccine delivery. But I understand the problem with the some vaccine will be the cold chain. It needs very strong cold chain. I am told, given that I do not know, I am told it needs something like, minus 48 degree frozenness of the vaccine. And then after it is for mRNA type vaccine. There are two, maybe there may be many types. So mRNA type, which is being researched dominantly, the cold chain is a problem. And then also at the delivery point, refrigeration is a problem because the vaccine has to be delivered within 48 hours. It cannot be thawed back and used again. So that is I am told this is a peculiar problem. So when those problems come to the surface very clearly, and if government or public authorities need some special type of thing. For example, we are doing huge work on artificial insemination of cattle. Now we have such technology that it is a sex sorted semen. Semen will produce only female cow 98% of the time. Okay, and we are seeing it happening. So there is no reason to doubt. Now BIF does it and JK Trust does it for us. Now they use special containers because the semen also has to be kept frozen, and only at the delivery point they take it out. So this needs a special type of container. I do not know. There may be a need for some such special type of container which can be taken to the villages and immediately immediately can be taken out and delivered as a vaccine within half an hour. That point, with all respect, I am saying that point will be the time where the intervention need will come. So we are but maybe we do not know. There may be another type of vaccine which will be just like typhoid vaccine, which will be very easy to deliver, and you can keep it in the shop or the PHC, and somebody goes and the doctor deliver it. So these are something which are still in uncertain. So we will know better as time passes. Thank you
Okay,
very
okay.
much.
Thank you, Mr. Roy Chaudhary. My only point was like we in India, we have about approximately 630 Jila Panchayats. If my suggestion that is between the government and the corporate house, if big corporate house divide the 630 Jila Panchayats among themselves under the CSR scheme and see to it that all Jila Panchayat, all the residents of those Jila Panchayat, especially all the villagers, underprivileged, vaccinated in time, because everybody knows once the vaccine will come, it will go to the warriors, the doctors, or those who are in the front one, then definitely it will go to the rich people. That is the main problem where we want that the CSR plays a very, very big role, that it should not happen that only the rich or the urban class or those who can afford will go and get the vaccine, and the poor or those who are staying in remote villages will not get. That was my point. Thank you very much for giving your
Thank
details.
you.
I'm
Thank you.
sure that it will. Now, I would like to ask Mr. Rajput. Mr. Rajput, you have mentioned about your plans, what you have done. Now, we would like to know what next. You have already taken the mobile school, which you are taking, but is there any plan for further going of taking it next step? What is your plan in a brief, if you can explain to us?
Yes, of course. Like right now, we are, doing this program on a short scale, a small scale, like from Gurgaon. Now we want to expand it to to other cities, other metro cities, like Mumbai, Bangalore, and all, because everywhere you can see the migrant families. And the biggest challenge is of these parents is to send their birds to the school. So I think if this model can be replicated in other parts, or like this Niti Aayog and all can take it, and we can go to the states through government, central government, that will, so that our reach should go to all.
Are you planning to collaborate with other NGOs?
Yes, why not? We can collaborate with other NGOs, and also we want to connect, because we have also tied up with the National Institute of Open Schooling, NIOS, which is only the national board, which is imparting education to the dropout only. And so these migrant children get certificates also through National Institute of Open Schooling, like Central Board, CBSC and other state boards are, affiliating to the regular schools. So these informal schools, can go through this board.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for giving your views. So today, viewers, you have seen how the CSR is playing a very, very important role in the national building of the country. And you have seen two IS officers who have given their first-hand experiences that how they have seen that how the CSR funds had been utilized. And you have also heard the Adani Foundation's Executive Director, Mr. Roy Chaudhary. He has given his views because he is the head of the Adani Foundation, which is basically to implement the CSR funds in different parts. And you have also heard what Mr. Sandeep Rajput has mentioned. How he has created, with the help of a CSR fund, a mobile school for the upliftment or for the educating the migrant children. Now, this is why the CSR is playing a very, very positive role. And I'm sure that today's program has enlightened all of us about the corporate social responsibility or CSR, because that is the need of today. And I'm sure in the which I asked Mr. Roy Chaudhary, and which he has given the detailed answer also, that in coming time the CSR will play a very, very important role in our country's development. Thank you very much. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News, Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, News Gaon Se, Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube. And our endeavor is to bring to you every day new topic. And tomorrow, media conference with Lal Goel, Youth Power of India. Yes, you heard correctly, Youth Power of India. And our guests are Dr. Ritika Garg, educationist, soft skill trainer, Jaipur, Miss Ankita S., founder, A-Works Design Studio, Bangalore. We have youth representatives in the Mr. Rahul Jayaprakash, Miss Priyanka A. Bhatt, Miss Simran Meghnani, and Mr. Royston Roshan Pinto. So please tune in tomorrow at media conference with Lal Goel at 10:30 a.m. To watch this program. Thank you very much, Dr. C.V. Anand Bose, in absentia, Mr. Roy Chaudhary, as well as Mr. Sandeep Rajput. Thank you all for joining, and thank you all the viewers for listening.